Imagine being stripped of your citizenship for fighting in a foreign war. This is the predicament facing some South African citizens fighting for Israel in Gaza. South Africa has a law known as the Regulation of Military Assistance Act that prohibits its nationals from offering foreign military assistance without approval. Despite this, the country has a history of struggling to hold dual nationals accountable for serving in foreign armies. This issue has been thrust into the spotlight recently, with the South African Foreign Ministry expressing concern about South African nationals fighting for Israel. The ministry has even warned that naturalized citizens could lose their citizenship. However, the government's commitment to prosecuting these individuals remains unclear. Equally ambiguous is the question of who would be responsible for these prosecutions. The South African government has not been shy in expressing its disapproval of Israel's actions, withdrawing all diplomats from Tel Aviv and accusing Israel of committing genocide. Yet when it comes to taking action against its own citizens fighting for Israel, the government's stance is less clear. Critics argue that the government's inaction sends mixed signals and undermines its stated commitment to solidarity with Palestine. South Africa's dilemma is a complex one, caught between solidarity with the Palestinian cause and maintaining relations with Israel and its Western allies. Some analysts believe that South Africa is trying to strike a delicate balance between these competing interests. But as the conflict in Gaza continues, the pressure on South Africa to clarify its position and take decisive action against its citizens fighting for Israel is only likely to grow. While South Africa has taken a hardened stance against Israel, the government's actions against its own citizens fighting for Israel remain uncertain. South Africa isn't the only country grappling with its citizens' involvement in foreign conflicts. Let's broaden our view and look at the global stage. The recent conflict in Palestine has notably underscored the paradoxes and apparent indifference of influential foreign actors in the region. In the heart of Jerusalem's Sheikh Jarrah neighborhood, Palestinians have been facing a double whammy of dispossession as their homes are claimed by Jewish settlers. Protests against this dispossession have largely been ignored until the situation escalated with the launch of rockets at Israeli cities by Hamas fighters. This brings us to a critical juncture in international law, the United Nations Responsibility to Protect doctrine. This doctrine, adopted in 2005, asserts the responsibility of the international community to protect civilians when their state fails to do so. Yet, its application has been criticized for being selective, with Western democracies largely reluctant to apply this doctrine in Palestine. However, the International Criminal Court has been welcomed to exercise jurisdiction over crimes in Palestine. The prosecutors have announced they will be vigilantly monitoring the conflict for possible war crimes charges. This is a significant development in the management of international conflicts and a beacon of hope for those seeking justice. The global stage is also witnessing mounting pressure on Israel for a ceasefire as conditions in the Gaza Strip continue to deteriorate. Reports from the region highlight a dire situation, with hospitals under attack and resources dwindling. The civilian death toll is rising, igniting protests worldwide and drawing the eyes of the world to the ongoing crisis. As the world watches and waits, the role of foreign nationals in these conflicts remains a contentious issue. The question of how the international community can or should respond to these situations is a complex one. It's a question of balancing national sovereignty, international law, and the universal rights of individuals. It's a question that doesn't promise easy answers, but one that we must continue to ask. As we've seen, the involvement of foreign nationals in conflicts such as the one in Gaza is a complex issue with no easy answers. South Africa, along with other countries facing similar dilemmas, stands at a crossroads. The choices they make could have far-reaching implications, not just for their own citizens, but for the global community as well. Consider the potential for legal challenges. South Africa's Regulation of Military Assistance Act prohibits nationals from offering foreign military assistance without approval. If the government chooses to prosecute those who violate this law, it could set a new precedent. Yet, the path to enforcement is fraught with difficulties, from gathering evidence to navigating the intricacies of international law. And then there's the broader picture. How will South Africa's actions influence its international relations? The country has recently taken a hardened stance against Israel, but it also seeks to maintain ties with its Western allies. Striking the right balance is no easy feat, and the international community will no doubt be watching closely. While the future remains uncertain, one thing is clear: the world is watching, and as always, the truth will eventually reveal itself.